The market is distracted. Are you? Tariffs are here. Inflation is here. But four giants are about to step up with earnings, and the results could rewire sentiment in tech, retail, and AI infrastructure. The last time this happened, volatility doubled, spreads, and the opportunity for traders was enormous. Let's talk Nvidia, Salesforce, Dell, Costco. Nvidia first up, they report on Wednesday, and it's no longer just about beating estimates. That bar has been obliterated so many times, it's now buried under the weight of trillion-dollar expectations. The company has already warned us about a $5.5 billion write-off, a one-off China-related charge. We've got more news on that. I'll link you to it in a moment. And yet, the focus is now on margins. 70.6% to 71% is the guidance. That's down from 73%. But margins in AI infrastructure are not like margins in toothpaste. They flex on geopolitical risk, supply constraints, and future, all of which are tightening. Add to that the NVLink fusion and Isaac Groot dreams, and Nvidia is no longer just making chips, it's writing the operation manual for a robotic future. Nvidia then, like a lighthouse built of fiber optics, it'll highlight tomorrow's shore through all the fog of regulation and then still try and crash your portfolio into it at the wrong possible time. Salesforce also reporting on the same day. A lot of people in the audience interested as they're a direct competitor for LivePerson. But Salesforce have got a very different kind of problem. Growth is fine, 6% year on year. But fine doesn't move multiples when AI is rewriting expectations. Agentforce, their AI platform, had over 3,000 paid deals last year. That sounds good until you consider they've got 150,000 customers. So they don't have the momentum there that their customer base suggests they could have. A slight lack of their ability to promote that product when the market is so hot. So we'll be looking for those updates on Agentforce in the Salesforce earnings. Salesforce, they're great. We love them. They're like a greyhound with a glass zipper. Everything's going along speedily until they hit a little bit of a road bump, at which point we can expect splinters and limping. Dell now, whose collaboration with Nvidia has revitalized the company, rebranding it from a dusty desktop merchant into scalable AI powerhouse. Their new AI factory and eco very clever, modular, infrastructure agnostic, and enterprise first. It's been a big boon to the company. But revenue guidance is still very weak, 22.5 billion to 23.5 billion, which is below street expectations. Dell isn't Nvidia's cousin, it's a contractor, and that means dependency. That dependency turns into risk when the sentiment flips. So Nvidia's earnings are obviously important for Dell's earnings, though if you're trading Nvidia, you might want to pay attention here too. Dell is very popular with a certain generation, much like Bally or those oil heaters. And while we're all agog at chipsets and synthetic motion, Costco has numbers that tell people what you're actually doing with your wallet. EPS missed last quarter, but revenue beat. Why is that? Volume strength. April sales were up 7% year on year, but now investors want clarity on Costco's tariff exposure. Walmart, we looked at them last week and we've got a brilliant thread on the paid side of Discord if you're trading it. They told us that tariff pass-throughs are coming. I can also inform you that Trump's cabinet are having behind-the-scenes discussions about fining firms for price gouging. So we'll pay attention to that pass-through from tariffs and how it's impacting Costco across their earnings. Their bulk buy model may well insulate them, or it could expose the fragility of middle income spending. And this speaks to the positioning of Costco and how they reach such high sales. Americans, when they get cost conscious about the price of individual eggs, tend to buy them in bulk, which is why they're picking up crates, which is why they're now picking up them by the crate. Costco is like a giant lunchbox at the edge of a battlefield. It's stocked, it's sturdy, and it's seemingly simple until a stray arrow or a tariff pokes a hole in the juice carton of their margin expectations. So this week we're paying close attention to tariff pass-through on Costco, how it impacts margins, and how that speaks to overall consumer sentiment, especially important with Costco because they're such a barometer of the overall market sentiment. On that note, we've recently covered things such as Walmart and Lowe's, also highly related to movements that we'll see in Costco. And on the Discord, we've got brilliant news about all of these topics. Nvidia and new tips for China. If you haven't seen that yet, it's because Rocky's Discord's very much ahead of the news. And other discussions like these two bankers are taking their case to the High Court in Britain because they previously manipulated the LIBOR markets. And then over on the stocks pick side of Discord for all those brilliant traders on supporting the channel and the community here, we've got brilliant feedback on this new format where you've got loads of in-depth equity reports on companies such as Nvidia, their earnings coming up this week, along with handy links to all the best and most recent videos so that you can get convenient access to the top content here. So along with Nvidia, we've also got Gorilla Technologies, Target, Walmart, Lowe's, GameStop, LivePerson, and more to come. So get yourself over on Discord. The free link is on the screen there, www.discord.gg/rockyoutcrop. And if you upgrade, well, you'll be able to get in touch with all of us and expert traders from your peer group 24/7. Look forward to seeing you there. Just heard a notification come in. Hit the like button. Now I'm going to dive deep into those charts. Just briefly take a look at the weekly and the daily time frames, starting with the stock we ended on. That is the wonderful one and only Costco. On the weekly time frame, you can see price action held that 50 simple, has potential to come back and test the prior high. We covered this move from a breakout on tightening price action back in May 2023. So 2 years of a continued sustained uptrend, and most recent test of the 50 simple provided support on the daily time frame. Prices most recently closed a gap. Tests of the 200, very uncommon on this stock in the last 3 years, also proven to be successful support. Question really is, does Costco have positive margins and growth in that underlying revenue? If so, it likely pushes prices back to the 1,100, very strong psychological level. If that doesn't push to the top side, then you'll look for support at 969. If that breaks, a test of the 200 at 945. If that should break, having failed to put in a higher high on this oscillation, I'd be worried for price action because it could easily come back down and test in at around 550, a huge collapse potential, and that's because of this awful tariff pass-through impact. Now Dell, back on the daily time frame, it's not Nvidia's cousin, and it has a rocky outcrop flash down there at 100, which would be a little bit of a haircut. You can anticipate that happening. It has come back, tested a 200 period moving average and a long-term downward sloping diagonal. So would be cautious on Dell. Positive earnings could lead to a break to through move, and you might be looking at 180, but we've been seeing Guidance on the margin there looks like it's a little bit negative. If it is, the earnings come out. Likewise, tested the 50 simple at 95 is very possible, closing a gap and going through that rocky outcrop flash. CRM, Salesforce, very important to pay attention to these earnings and look where the chart is going. If you're interested in LivePerson, this is a direct competitor and a really good gauge of how well sales are going in this sector. 200 period moving average has provided resistance on the daily time frame. Price action putting in a dangerous retracement here, very close to the prior lows. Prior to that, it put in a higher high. So this is a continuation of a trend already in motion rather than anything new happening. And if it is that earnings meet analyst expectations or exceed them, price will test that 236 at 321. If it falls back down again, the next level of support is 263. And if that breaks, prices having come so close to that previous low, you might be looking at them test back down at 190. Nvidia, the king of kings. As you can see on the weekly time frame here, we've got a number of stonking trades that have made silly amounts of money for people. This trend continues to the top side. 50 simple recently support 236. A very strong move to the top side. Liberation Day and that negative impact only taking Nvidia down a very short period, and it responded very well. It's recovered towards an 886 of that breakdown. As you can see, it's putting in a broadening right angled formation. If this breaks the top side at 148, the targets could be huge. Be looking at maybe potentially putting in a 50-60% move over the medium term. And if price action breaks down, it's terrible because it's a very dangerous formation. You could see them come back to a test $100 or less. And if it's heading in that direction and it's going at speed, it won't find support at 87, the previous low. That will be broken. Price action potentially putting in an extension of this trend and coming back down to $70 or 69 on Nvidia. But we anticipate that prices will continue in the trend they've been going, especially for these four big companies. A little bit of doubt surrounding Dell. So that's your update. 4 stocks to pay attention to this week. Excellent added value on the Discord. If you're free, get in there and make the most of the news section. If you're on the paid side, you'll get every single bit of value for signing up returned to you immediately on those equity reports, and excellent information from your peers. Great to see you on there and watching this video. Hit the like button. I've been the Prince of Ravens.